Counting without counting gang violence.
Oh my god. Wait, go, run!
A gunshot echoed once again, shaking the world. An evil bullet claimed the life of a young opinion leader. The United States may be at a critical turning point as the shadow behind the assassin becomes clearer. Many Chinese may not be familiar with the rising conservative figure Charlie Kirk. But here's the truth. Charlie Kirk is a significant threat to the Chinese Communist Party. This murder is not just an act of hate, it is an extremely vile political assassination. On September 10th, during a speech in Utah, Kirk was fatally shot from 200 yards away while discussing the highly sensitive issue of transgender rights. The event sent shockwaves worldwide, and the CCP's response has been especially eye-catching. Within 48 hours, the CCP-affiliated Observer Network published an editorial on its front page with the striking headline, "Kirk's Death, Lighter Than a Feather." The article even quoted Mao Zedong claiming Kirk was selling his soul to fascists, and thus his death was not regrettable. This was no mere news commentary. It was a blatant moral judgment. The death of the enemy is not only unworthy of sympathy, but also worthy of celebration. Recent reports reveal that the assassin Tyler Robinson is a key member of the American Democratic Socialist of America, DSA. This organization maintains close ties with left-wing groups in Cuba, Venezuela, and Brazil, openly praises the CCP, and actively promotes cooperation with the regime. As of 2023, the DSA has nearly 95,000 members, with branches in major cities across the United States, particularly on college campuses where its influence is immense. There is widespread suspicion that such a large organization could operate for so long without substantial financial backing, and it is highly likely that the CCP, known for its generous funding, is the primary sponsor. On September 11th, Utah Governor Spencer Cox issued a warning at a press conference after Charlie Kirk's assassination. CCP and Russian-backed online bots were spreading misleading content to incite violence. Cox emphasized there is a tremendous amount of disinformation we are tracking. Our adversaries from Russia, China, and other nations are trying to instill disinformation and encourage violence. Researchers pointed out that this effort aims to exploit political divisions within the US to create chaos. An August report by the online analytics company Graphica revealed that beyond social media, fake websites were using AI tools to disguise themselves as legitimate news outlets. The report identified 11 domains and 16 related accounts that were whitewashing English reports from the CCP's CCTV International channel, CGTN. The report stated that CGTN broadcast pro-CCP, anti-Western content in multiple languages using AI tools to generate custom logos and text targeted at specific audiences, including young viewers in Africa, the Americas, Asia, and Europe. Let's briefly introduce who Charlie Kirk is and why the CCP hates him so much. Charlie Kirk was born in 1993 in Arlington Heights, Illinois, and grew up in Chicago. His mother is a mental health counselor, and his father is an architect. As a teenager, Kirk earned the rank of Eagle Scout, the highest honor in American Scouting, which reflects his exceptional leadership qualities. Kirk first became involved in politics during high school when he volunteered for a senator's campaign in his state. In 2012, at the age of 18, Kirk co-founded the nonprofit organization Turning Point USA. The organization promotes conservative political ideas on high school and college campuses, advocating for a return to America's founding principles and Christian values. Kirk believes that left-wing ideologies dominate U.S. campuses and that young people are being brainwashed by cultural Marxism, which is why there needs to be a platform to inspire youth to encourage the conservative movement. This has made him one of the most prominent voices of young conservatives during the Trump era and a key ally of Trump. He spoke at the 2024 Republican National Convention and was a key figure in pushing for J.D. Vance to be the vice presidential candidate. As a conservative youth activist in the US, Kirk's main views are widely known, even if you haven't heard his speeches or debates. First, he is strongly opposed to illegal immigration, especially criticizing the growing Muslim population in the US, and he is outspoken in his criticism of the so-called Islamination of America. On racial issues, Kirk believes that the challenges faced by Black Americans are not due to systemic racism, but rather the absence of fathers. Second, he is a vocal opponent of wokeism and diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) initiatives. On issues of gender and family ethics, he holds very traditional Christian views, insisting that there are only two genders and calling transgender identity a harmful lie to children. Third, in public policy, he opposes high welfare programs controlled by big government, advocating for free markets and limited government, emphasizing personal responsibility. These are core conservative beliefs that many are familiar with. Some analysts suggest that Kirk's views are not far from those presented by Russell Kirk in his 1974 book, The Conservative Mind, where he discusses the foundation of American order. This American order, according to Russell Kirk, comes from the Jewish traditions of Jerusalem, emphasizing covenant faithfulness to God as well as the democratic and freedom-loving spirit of ancient Athens and the rule of law from ancient Rome. In summary, American order is a freedom with boundaries, freedom where individuals take responsibility and respect the freedom of others. While Charlie Kirk's views aren't particularly new, why has he been labeled as far-right or even fascist? This may have to do with the way he expresses his opinion. Kirk often engages in face-to-face debates, sparking intense exchanges. He is fearless in accepting challenges and never shies away from speaking his mind, making him a true practitioner of real-world debate. He enjoys visiting colleges and left-wing strongholds to initiate debates. His famous catchphrase is "Come and prove me wrong." His approach is bold, sharp, and full of youthful energy. Kirk's debating style mirrors the public debates of ancient Greek and Roman politicians, confronting the public and opposition directly, displaying the traits of classical statesmen. He often tackles the most controversial topics such as transgender issues, reverse racial discrimination under the guise of racial equality, and the concept of America's original sin, the idea that America was founded on the exploitation of slaves and therefore from its inception the country was inherently evil. Of course, Kirk strongly criticizes this view. Unfortunately, this unapologetic style can easily provoke hatred, especially when his opponent are thoroughly defeated in these public, impromptu debates. In these open, unpolished intellectual exchanges, mistakes and misinterpretations inevitably occur, and his enemies will seize on these to magnify his flaws, even taking his words out of context, demonizing him. This is why we often see so-called extreme statements from him on platforms like TikTok. Yet his critics are ignoring a key fact. He has never forced his views on others, nor has he ever threatened anyone. He hasn't made economic threats, such as taking away someone's livelihood, nor physical threats to safety, or even emotional threats. He simply expresses his views through debate, aiming to influence others with his thoughts and logic. Charlie Kirk was an eloquent, energetic speaker. While some who disagreed with him may have found him aggressive and offensive, he always emphasized the importance of dialogue and reasoning. His enemies resorted to bullets to silence him, but in doing so, they not only failed but also exposed who the true fascists and extremists are. The CCP's response to Kirk's murder, along with the information that has emerged, clearly reveals who his real enemies were. Just days before Kirk's assassination, the CCP launched another act of terror. On September 6, the largest Chinese-language media outlet, the Epoch Times, received an email from an overseas submission account. The email, signed by someone named Xiao Wei-shen, was titled, "Look at the screenshots, you're finished." The email was sent from Xi'an, China, but the IP address traced back to Mountain View, California in Silicon Valley. Due to the CCP's internet censorship, it assumed the address was a proxy, not the actual sender's IP. The email contained 3 screenshots with the message, "What are you going to do about it?" The screenshots showed the perpetrator impersonating the Epoch Times tip-off line, sending threatening content to the White House. The content of the message read, "We are Falun Gong members. We will throw incendiary bombs and explosive. If anyone tries to stop us, we will open fire. We will simultaneously broadcast this magnificent feat live on YouTube, X, Ganjing World, The Epoch Times, Newtown Dynasty Television, and Sound of Hope. This is the consequence of your failure to help us address the Communist Party's transnational repression. The sender clearly had poor English skills but was very familiar with simplified Chinese characters. The media mentioned in the email are those that expose the CCP's dark secrets, which the CCP fears the most. We can see that the CCP's actions closely resemble those of the coward who killed Kirk, because Kirk was one of the CCP's most feared and hated enemies. In 2022, Kirk told NTD TV, "The Chinese Communist Party is the biggest enemy of America. Period. Hard stop. I'm focused on Xi Jinping's reign of terror, not Vladimir Putin's at all." In April of this year, he posted on X saying that the Trump administration was leading the world in confronting communist China. Kirk wrote, "The world was waiting for America to lead against China. They've been ready and willing to unite against the CCP. President Trump is finally bringing that leadership to the world stage. Every move made up until now has been a build-up to focus on China." After Kirk's death, a video of him debating a Chinese student sparked renewed discussion. In the video, a student claiming to be a Chinese immigrant asked Kirk how the US would compete internationally if the Trump administration abolished the Department of Education. Kirk responded that the US approach to education is different from the CCP's. America values teaching citizens how to think and understand what freedom is. Kirk then posed a question asking, "Is Taiwan Taiwan, or is it land of the Chinese Communist Party?" The Chinese student replied, "We call it Taiwan. We recognize the situation in our government." Kirk asked, "Okay, so it's not China's, it's its own sovereign, autonomous country." The student responded, "We call them Taiwan. We recognize how they're separate, but they still belong to us legally." This answer prompted laughter from the audience. Kirk then used his moment to highlight the fundamental differences between education in the US and under the CCP. Kirk said, "You see what I'm getting at, right? The difference is this. In totalitarian countries, human beings are little parts of a broader machine to be put in. In a free society, you're all independent souls that are made in the image of God, that you have to understand what freedom and liberty is and to grow into something greater." After his assassination, some pointed to Kirk's statements, "I cannot stand the word empathy," suggesting that because he opposed empathy, his death wasn't worth of sympathy. However, he went on to clarify that he thought empathy was a made-up New Age term. He preferred the word goodness, believing that while kindness is a gentle motion, it is different from empathy because kindness has standards and principles. For example, empathy might suggest that a drug addict should be understood because they didn't choose addiction, it's a struggle, and you should empathize with their pain and struggle. Many Chinese, after years of CCP brainwashing, may express empathy for Deng Xiaoping, the former leader of the CCP, saying, "By this point, suppression was necessary. If tanks weren't sent into Tiananmen Square, the regime would have been overthrown. Can you empathize with Deng Xiaoping's concerns?" Some may also empathize with Xi Jinping and Putin, arguing that they're simply concerned about their health in old age. Some commentators said, "You'll be too old someday. Why be surprised? Empathy is needed." But what does empathy avoid? The moral question, whether something is right or wrong. We might empathize with a drug addict, but does that mean we should sympathize with their drug use? If organ transplants involve pigs, few would oppose them. But what if they involved humans? What if people are killed for their organs, no consent is given? Can empathy justify that? The CCP hatred of Kirk stems from the fact that empathy is part of their brainwashing campaign to corrupt American campuses and society. Through debates, Kirk forced people to remember the basic principles of right and wrong. He directly exposed the CCP's lies and tactics in American schools. The CCP's infiltration and corruption didn't happen overnight, which explained why Trump and Kirk were targeted. So did the CCP succeed in its plot after Kirk's assassination in America? Let's see what his wife had to say. On September 12th, Kirk's wife, Erica, gave her first speech after his death. She said, "The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination, you have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry." She continued, "Charlie was targeted because he preaches a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea what you just have unleashed across the country and this world. No one will ever forget my husband's name, and I will make sure of it. It will become stronger, bolder, louder, and greater than ever. My husband's mission will not end, not even for a moment." Before Charlie Kirk was killed, the last person, Hunter Kozak, who asked him about gender issues, broke his silence. Kozak said, "People have obviously pointed out the irony. I'm on the record with how much I disagree with Charlie Kirk, but he's still a human being. Have we forgotten that? Are we crazy? Charlie Kirk may be gone, but his death has had the opposite effect of what the CCP hoped for. His wife was not frightened. She became a true warrior, and I believe she will become another fighter whom the CCP fears. Moreover, many left-wing and centrist voters were deeply shaken and reported that they would shift to the right to express their stance. Among them, a left-wing influencer from Australia announced his switch to the right, stating that Charlie Kirk represented ordinary families and conservative rules, yet was hated by the left, with some even celebrating his death. He added that if they treated Charlie this way, they would also want to treat his parents and loved ones the same. He emphasized that he would not submit and would not stand with those who wanted to harm them. The person who opposed Kirk and asked the question clearly revealed the key point many have become numb to. That is, Charlie Kirk was the one with real empathy because he understood the importance of distinguishing right from wrong, good from evil. He had true empathy and goodness with principles and boundaries, which is why he debated with those who disagreed with him, because he saw them as people. Debate is about seeing the other person as human. He believed that all people share common reason, basic behavioral principles, and a fundamental sense of right and wrong. That's what makes us human. To put it simply, when Kirk debated you, it was because he respected you as a person. Would Xi Jinping debate with you? Would real dictators debate anyone? So, can the CCP's actions and the assassin's behavior after being brainwashed by the CCP be considered human actions? Someone who kills when they can't win an argument, can such a person be regarded as human? More and more people are questioning who turned him into this. This is the heart of the issue. Charlie Kirk's death has won him an internal debate, and his true greatness may be in awakening people to realize that the CCP is not a human organization. It's a force of evil.